My name is Trevor Hultner. I am the media coordinator for the Center for a Stateless Society, an organization that was founded in 2006 that aims to bring anarchist media from a market anarchist perspective to the broader culture at large. So one thing that we like to do, and one of the aspects of my job, is publish commentaries on any subject imaginable with an anarchist sort of bent, and we send them to newspapers and magazines and other periodicals and publications around the country and around the world. So we are published in places like Anti-War, we're published in places like Counterpunch, we're published in newspapers all over the world, and so our goal is to try to bring anarchism down to the people, as opposed to keeping it up in the ivory tower, where a lot of the time you either have activist communities who are sort of insular and sort of separated out from the rest of the world, or you have academics who make it their job to make anarchism as confusing as possible for people. And we try to bring that down to a good level for people to understand and grasp why it's important to be an anarchist. So anarchism is a society, is the advocacy of a society that wishes to abolish the state. In many flavors of anarchism, also abolish capitalism, although there are many flavors of anarchism that are favorable both to sort of what we would conceive of today as capitalism, as well as just whatever market society we might happen to make in the future. But we all share the same goal of abolishing the state, the nation. The idea that there is something good to be found in collective identity in terms of where you're from, where you were born, and where you're going to die. So we try to, as much as possible, explore those realms. As far as the flavor of anarchism that I am, I like to call myself an individualist anarchist and a market anarchist to an extent, but I also have syndicalist leanings, which means I'm favorable to radical labor organizing and direct action tactics in the workplace. As far as tactics are concerned, when we're talking about transitioning from the kind of society we are currently in, a stateful society, as Gary Chartier would say, to a stateless society, we're looking at a diversity of tactics. Education is very important. Obviously, you can't just say, hey, everybody, we've abolished the state. Now you have no government. You have nothing to sort of have a frame of reference for. It's just a Hobbesian state of nature kind of thing. So education is very important, but we also do direct action. Things like spontaneous protests, wildcat strikes. One of the nice things about syndicalism is that we organize or advocate for a kind of organizing that allows for solidarity strikes and general strikes. This going back all the way to the 40s and earlier, where whole industries would just shut down. The role that the media plays in bringing about a stateless society is pretty simple. We look at the media from the perspective that it is either corporate owned or state owned, meaning someone has, or someone's interests are at play, but they're not the people's, so to speak. With anarchist media, the goal of the Center for a Stateless Society and other groups such as the Anarchist Agency, which is a PR firm, as well as places like InfoShop and Indie Media to an extent, although that's kind of died out, is to decentralize the media, take it out of the hands of sort of these large networks and corporations, and allow individuals to have access to the tools and the knowledge to create their own media. One of the big slogans in the 90s was, don't hate the media, become the media. And so that's a lot of what we try to do at the Center for a Stateless Society. We're very open in wanting to use the media for stateless ends. So, I'm asexual, which means that I do not experience sexual attraction. With asexuality, it's very difficult to kind of talk about this because most people only have a frame of reference for sexual orientations that are attracted to someone. You have heterosexuality, you have bi and pansexuality, you have homosexuality, of course, and these are all framed in sort of who someone is attracted to. With asexuality, it's I'm not attracted to anybody, so that can be kind of foreign to people. Where that comes into play with my politics is I'm interested in deconstructing the forms of relationships that people have. This is obviously beneficial for myself because getting into a lot of relationships in sort of the heteronormative culture we live in, I'm expected to do certain things. There are certain expectations within the relationship in general, and getting rid of these expectations, getting rid of what's called allonormativity, which is sort of this idea that there are people whose sort of cultural norm is that sex is just normal, that sex is expected, that sex is just part of your relationship, and if you're not having it, it's wrong. So we're looking at ways of kind of deconstructing that, of creating something called, or deconstructing something called a matonormativity, which is the idea that there is a specific type of romantic relationship that should exist, and that's preferential to others. Because aside from asexuality, there's also this group of people called aromantic people, and aromantic people don't experience romantic attraction to people. So this also gets into ideas of dual attraction models and things like that, or split attraction models where you have multiple points of attraction that you might fall into, but some that you don't. And that gets kind of complicated. But the idea is that we're trying to dismantle these hierarchies of relationship forms, of sexual sort of norms that we have here in this society, and turn them into more egalitarian formats that people can just sort of plug into and go. Libcom.org is a great organization that talks a lot about anarcho-syndicalism, so I'd recommend people going there. Additionally, the Anarchist Agency has been doing a lot of really good work with media. One of the great things about the Anarchist Agency, I believe it's agency.com or anarchistagency.org or something like that, is that they periodically publish digests of anarchism in the news. So not only are they trying to get their own work out there, but they're trying to say, hey, this is where someone who isn't connected to anarchist movements is talking about anarchism, and this is how they're doing it, which not only is a good PR move, but it can also provide some good data to see how the media treats anarchism in 2016. C4SS, of course, c4ss.org is where I work. It's a great resource for left libertarianism, for market anarchism, for anything that you might think of there. And finally, as far as asexuality is concerned, the biggest resource that we have is something called AVEN, which is the Asexual Visibility and Education Network. It was started by actually an anarchist, David J., in 2001 for people who were like him, who didn't experience sexual attraction. And that's asexuality.org.
Sun